Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, May 13, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your coworkers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the point in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here where the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know that that's been like in your ear recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. So we need to take a look at the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook from the US Climate Prediction Center that came out today by the forecaster All Good, definitely today, May 13. And they're highlighting that for the time period from May 21 to May 27, as well as May 28 to June 3, there is going to be some browns expected across portions of the Caribbean. I know the browns represents below average rainfall probability, a 50 to 65% chance at that, especially across the Bahamas, Cuba, the Northwestern Caribbean. But the thing is, we know that usually whatever the US Climate Prediction Center shows isn't 100% set in stone. So we just have to wait it out to see exactly what unfolds, because drier than average May into early June across the Caribbean, that's definitely unheard of, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs, so take this forecast with a grain of salt. Alright, so we're going to be taking a look at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS Supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp at the top, keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right there, as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the yellows, the oranges, the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place over the next 7 days. Heading into Wednesday morning, we see the line of showers associated with that frontal system and trough. Still right there off the east coast of the US down to the Bahamas. Don't see much of anything across Jamaica, but we do see some isolated showers across the eastern to the central Caribbean waters. On Wednesday afternoon, we see some isolated showers across central and western parishes. What does the GFS show for the same time period? Wednesday morning, that moisture right here off the east coast of the US down to the Bahamas, that moisture extending from Hispaniola into the eastern Caribbean. Don't see much of anything on Wednesday morning around Jamaica. But during Wednesday afternoon, just like what the Euro was showing, some greens represent some isolated showers, mainly across sections of some central and western parishes. What does the Euro show for Thursday morning? 7 a.m., which is actually 12Z, 7 a.m. we see that rainfall to the south of us, we see that across the far eastern end. Then on Thursday afternoon, look at that, rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show for the same time period? Thursday morning, rainfall across the waters to our east may be affecting for the far eastern end as well. Then on Thursday afternoon, we see that rainfall mainly across central western parishes. Let us see what Friday is showing. On Friday morning, we don't see much of anything across Jamaica, but look at the abundance of moisture across the Dominican Republic, maybe Puerto Rico as well. Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. We also see that abundance of moisture to the south of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Very interesting, maybe some isolated flash flooding possible. Friday morning on the GFS, just like what the Euro was showing, an abundance of moisture in and around Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. We also see some of that moisture to the south of Jamaica, across eastern Jamaica as well. Then on Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall still affecting portions of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, also affecting sections of eastern, central, and western parishes. Let us see what Saturday morning is showing. On Saturday morning, not really much of anything across Jamaica, but still seeing that moisture plaguing portions of Puerto Rico and the area surrounding there. Then on Saturday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. What does the GFS show for the same time period? Saturday morning, not much of anything, but look at the abundance of moisture across the eastern Caribbean. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. Very interesting. On Sunday morning, not really seeing much of anything on land, but we do see some isolated showers to the south of us, to the north of us. On Sunday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across sections of some eastern, central, western parishes. Look at that strong bout of moisture to the south of Puerto Rico. Very interesting. What does the GFS show for the same time period? Sunday morning rainfall to our east, rainfall across the east. Look at the amount of moisture across the eastern Caribbean. It's very wet over there. Then on Sunday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes too. And then we're gonna be stopping it as we head into Monday and Tuesday. First of all, Monday morning, not much of anything across Jamaica. Monday afternoon, rainfall across some southern and eastern parishes. Then, at the end of the 168 hours, we see that there's not really much of anything expected across Jamaica. What does the GFS show for the same time period? 7 a.m. on Monday, not really seeing much of anything. Then, as we can see, by the end of the day on Monday, we see maybe some isolated across the central to the eastern end, and we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Tuesday, May 20. Not seeing much of anything across Jamaica, but we're still seeing an abundance of moisture across maybe the eastern to the central Caribbean. Look at the greens, even the yellows, oranges, reds, maybe up to at least 12 inches of rainfall. It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are adamant that within the next 7 days, the most rainfall is going to be plaguing portions of northern South America into portions of Central America, as well as the eastern to the central Caribbean. Wherever we see the dark reds into the purples and the pinks, that represents up to 2 to 5 inches of rainfall or more. Definitely expected across French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, sections of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, section of the Eastern Caribbean. And we see that not only on the Euro model here, but the GFS is showing something similar. So these areas could definitely pick up some amount of isolated flash flooding for sure. Even portions of El Salvador, maybe northwestern Nicaragua getting in on some of that as well. While we're seeing more so greens, yellows, oranges, at least up to red, represents close to 1 inch of rainfall expected for areas such as Jamaica, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Eastern Yucatan, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, much of Nicaragua as well. So that's what those areas are going to be getting over the next 7 days. Nothing too significant. It's just going to be spread out over the next 7 days too. And regarding Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast maps now for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Tuesday, May 20. And we see Jamaica shaded in the blues, greens, slight yellows that represents anywhere from a millimeter of rainfall all the way up to maybe 30 millimeters of rainfall. The eastern end to the western end of the island. We even see some slight yellows right here, represent maybe up to 40 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS only going up to at least 30 millimeters. The Euro going up to at least maybe 40. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, we know that whatever happens across eastern Jamaica is going to be during the morning hours. Whatever happens across central and western Jamaica is going to be during the afternoon hours. So get ready for that daytime heating, rainfall. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see ridges of high pressure to the north that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. You can also see broken orange lines, one right here across the eastern Caribbean, another set of broken orange lines right here off the east coast of the US down to the Bahamas, Cuba, associated with another trough. See the tail end of a cold front and the trough that has induced right there to the far north of the eastern Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can make out all of the entities that we just mentioned. First of all, the clouds associated with the trough right here off the east coast of the US, still plaguing the northern Bahamas, Cuba as we speak, with some amount of cloud showers and thunderstorms. Those associated with that frontal system and the trough that has induced right there to the far north of the eastern Caribbean. We can see the clouds associated with that other trough still plaguing portion of the eastern Caribbean with showers and thunderstorms as we speak. And we can make out the low level to mid-level flow of the clouds being steered from east-west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, May 13, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast for parts of northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica, also affecting sections of some southern and western parishes during the afternoon. I know northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. and St. Mary, Portland. Eastern parishes, and we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Southern parishes, we're talking about those parishes like Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. While Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 7:36 a.m., the visible satellite image was posted not only here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, but it was posted on our Instagram page with the Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So at around 7:36 a.m., we saw some clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, to sections of some northeastern parishes, sections of maybe St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, maybe even far eastern St. Thomas at that time. Then, at around 12:56 p.m., the visible satellite image was posted once again, and it highlighted some clouds bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, to sections of some southern parishes. Definitely had a soaking across my area in St. Thomas. We also saw some clouds across sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland for sure. Definitely gotten on some amount of isolated shower activity. Then by around 3:35 p.m., the visible satellite image was posted once again, and it highlighted some clouds bringing some isolated thunderstorms to sections of northern St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmoreland, section of eastern Hanover, southern St. James. Definitely gotten on the action. And just like what we stated would happen yesterday, it definitely happened. The upper level winds blew those cloud tops off towards the northeast for sure. And we're going to be seeing it even better on the latest satellite images. Definitely can make out the clouds being sheared off towards the northeast by that upper level wind shear. More of a northeasterly low to mid-level flow of the clouds. Definitely had some decent thunderstorm activity across section of St. Elizabeth. And as you can see, by the time the sun was going down, you can see that most of the clouds were clearing out. And we can see the convection even better on the infrared close-up satellite images of Jamaica right here. The blues into the greens, into the yellows, into the oranges and reds. That represents that deep convection, that thunderstorm, that cumulonimbus cloud activity being ripped apart by that upper level wind shear, shearing those cloud tops off towards the northeast. You can make out the sparkling white dots in there, especially across sections of the cockpit country into portion of St. Elizabeth. That represents somewhat of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And then the low to mid-level clouds steered and pushed themselves off towards the southwest with that rainfall. And if we take a look at the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 12:21 p.m. today, at that time very cloudy. At that time also just a bit of traffic, nothing too significant, nothing that fell off the bridge in Jesus' name, nothing bad happened, just a bit of traffic around there. Hopefully nothing significant took place at that time. But at that time we can see it was definitely fear, nothing in the way of bad weather taking place for sure. Real Cobra seems to be getting back its normal color. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map paints quite the picture of how we might have had that rainfall today across sections of central and western parishes, or more so southern parishes during the afternoon, maybe the far eastern end especially during the morning. And we have footage of some decent flooding that took place in parts of Morant Bay, St. Thomas today. This from the YouTube channel Clarity Flex Jamaica TV. And definitely see a lot of garbage in the water, so one could assume maybe some drains were clogged. These things can definitely happen, especially when you have some very nasty people around who don't dispose of their garbage properly. But hopefully all of this is fixed and corrected before we actually get some serious rainfall for sure. Taking a look at some of the comments that came in today, we have Marlon underscore one god underscore stating Clarendon sunny. We also have Marlon confirming rainfall in his area during the afternoon, rain in South Clarendon. And even on our Facebook page we had Latoya Taylor stating sun a boil hot in St. Elizabeth where I am. And I thank you all for confirming what the weather was like in your area. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. The very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website is showing 0035 UTC, which is actually 7:35 p.m. So this just came out, what, 5, 10, 15, 16 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:51 p.m. right now. And we can definitely see that right now there's nothing across the island in terms of cloudy conditions, rainy weather, anything like that. The Cuban Doppler radar seems to have glitched out at around what, 2, oh, there we go, definite glitch here and there in the AM, as well as in what, 3:20 p.m. that's 2:20. Either way, at those times maybe some isolated shores in and around the island, but we wish we could see what's happening right now. Not seeing much of anything, glitched out as usual. The Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar Imagery may be showing some isolated shores to the west of Guantanamo, not seeing much of anything across northeastern Jamaica. We see some isolated shores though across sections of the western peninsula of Cuba. Cayman Islands right here, not seeing much of anything across the Cayman Islands or western Jamaica, but we do see some isolated shores across sections of central Cuba. Taking a look at the live camera here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, halfway through showing that it's very busy, lots of people going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business, and the evening should definitely be fair for the most part. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should have down to about 24 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Good news for those persons who have been feeling the heat for the past couple of days. Tomorrow seems to be more on the average to at least slightly above average temperature forecast. This map from the GFS is showing 18D on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. We see Jamaica shaded in the grays and the slight yellows that represents average to slightly above average temperatures. I know the average temperature for the month of May across Jamaica is around 89 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.6 degrees Celsius. So I should be receiving anywhere from 31.6 to 32.6 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Wednesday. And unfortunately, we have a few maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online's Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that the power outage is coming their way on Wednesday, May 14, 2025. We're referring to Cromarty Housing Scheme in the parish of St. Catherine from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Ranger Lane, Water Lane, Clough Lane on the parish of St. Catherine from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tivoli Gardens and Rasta City in St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And finally we have Lambs River in the parish of St. James from 9:45 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential, strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water throughout the day even if you're not thirsty, and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we're still seeing the abundance of dry air as represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds and the whites within those areas. Most dry air across the northern portion of the North Atlantic. We see a lot of dry air across the Gulf as well. While we see some yellows across the Caribbean, the yellows represent the low end of the scale in terms of dry air. And we see a lot of blues across the intertropical convergence zone as well as the eastern Pacific. That's what we want to see. We want to see the low end of the scale in terms of dry air. And we want to see the moisture so that we get more rainfall in order to keep water in our pipes. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast, for 18 UTC on Wednesday, it's actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday. We're seeing this strand of Saharan dust in the light shades that represents at least from 1 to at least an 8 across the southern main development region into portion of the Windward Islands, southeastern Caribbean as well. Nothing significant, nothing noticeable. We're not going to be seeing the very hazy skies. It's not going to be triggering respiratory illnesses in people at all. Not to mention the fact that also over here in the Greater Antilles, Jamaica, definitely going to be in the clear for 1 p.m. on Wednesday course, the brunt of the Saharan dust should be across Africa, sections of Europe and Asia where we see the dark shades of browns that definitely can cause very hazy skies and trigger respiratory illnesses in some persons. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, we're seeing more light shades of blues to dark shades of blues across the Caribbean. It represents anywhere from 0.5 of a meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. The waters to the north of Jamaica up to at least 0.9 of a meter wave height to the north of St. Anne, 0.7 of a meter wave height to the north of Hanover. To the south, we see 0.7 of a meter wave height to the south of Westmoreland, 1 meter wave height to the south of Clarendon, up to at least maybe, let's say, I think 1.4 meter wave height to the south of St. Thomas. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see more of an easterly flow. Winds are definitely dying down. We don't see the strong yellows, especially to the south of Jamaica, the north of Colombia and Panama as usual. So we know once the winds die down, we usually have more afternoon rainfall. The stronger the winds, the less in terms of the rainfall, convection during the afternoon. The weaker the winds, the higher the chances of convection. You see that easterly flow averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15, maybe even gusting to 20 knots at most. And regarding Jamaica's wind forecast for tomorrow, wind clearly coming in from the east tomorrow. On the north coast averaging 14 knots, south coast 15 knots. And we also see where the air is going to be piling up across inland areas of some central and western parishes. So look out for that afternoon convection. Upper level wind still going to be coming in from the west southwest tomorrow. So maybe some more of this if we get some more convection. Just like how we had the clouds shearing off to the northeast today, it's going to be shearing off more so towards the east northeast tomorrow, bringing more of the overcast skies to the section of northern Jamaica, just like how we had some overcast skies at that time across the section of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne as well. Regarding the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the year and this map from the GFS are valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. And just like what the let's say the lack of air or lack of winds we're showing, definitely going to be having the rain pile up across sections of some central and western parishes. You see section of northern St. Andrew, southwestern Portland, southern St. Mary, section of maybe St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmoreland, eastern Hanover, southern St. James, much of Trelawney, southwestern St. Anne, definitely central and western parishes for the most part, going to be getting some amount of afternoon convection. Even the upper level, well, even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps showing rainfall over the next 24 hours. The Euro only going up to at least 0.56 of an inch of rainfall across section of St. Andrew. GFS only up to at least 0.33 of an inch of rainfall across section of St. Elizabeth. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of May. We're in our rainy season. In Kingston, this bar graph is being shown right here at the top. We usually receive close to 140 millimeters of rainfall for the month. In Montego Bay's bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom. We usually receive close to 6 inches of rainfall for the month. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of May or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, trough is definitely doing a number on the eastern Caribbean islands. Lots of showers and thunderstorms taking place. We also see the other trough lashing a portion of the northern Bahamas, Cuba. We also see lots of thunderstorms across a portion of northern South America, Costa Rica, Panama getting the brunt of it as we speak. But let us focus our attention on the Puerto Rico area, where we're seeing some rainfall across southeastern Puerto Rico. The waters between here, well, the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. The waters to the south of Puerto Rico, sections of Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica getting some amount of rainfall as we speak. And regarding the rainfall maps earlier today at around 2 p.m., definitely saw some rainfall across eastern and western Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, some rainfall in and around Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica as well. The Barbados radar showing some amount of rainfall in and around Barbados as we speak. Heavy rainfall to the east of there pushing westward. We also see some rainfall coming into the section of Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and Grenadines, St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, section of southern Guadeloupe getting on some of the action. Even the weather we have the Doppler radar images confirming rainfall across section of the Bahamas, Cuba where we have that trough. You see some rainfall right here to the east of the Yucatan, across section of central Honduras, some isolated shores across northwestern Venezuela and Colombia. And we see the brunt of the rainfall currently lashing portions of Guyana and Suriname Right now, and regarding where the brunt of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the year and the GFS adamant that the most rainfall over the next 24 hours should be across section of northern South America, French Guyana, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. We always see the greens into the yellows and the oranges up to at least some slight reds. That represents close to an inch of rainfall expected for areas such as Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, section of Belize, Guatemala, the eastern Yucatan, sections of Cuba, the northern Bahamas, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, section of Puerto Rico, the northeastern Caribbean to Leeward Islands, and even section of the Windward Islands getting in on some of that. And we can clearly see that both the year and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.